blue streak, speeding by. Sonic the Hedgehog, too fast for the naked eye. Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic, he can really move. Sonic, he got an attitude. Hello guys, back at it again on What's the Draw. And today they just released the new episode for Sonic Prime Season 2. Hopefully it's better than Season 1. Season 1 was pretty good, but it was mainly centered around Sonic and going to the different dimensions with his friends, which was really cool. We saw different takes of like Tails, Amy, Knuckles. For example, one of the stand-ups with 9, and a couple of other stand-ups was like Knuckles from the pirate world, But Season 2, we're going to get back Shadow the Hedgehog, one of my favorite characters from SA2. And I want to see how they're going to implement him in the story, and hopefully they fix Sonic a bit. And the first season, he was a little bit too childlike for me, kind of reminded me of movie Sonic. But besides that, he was a pretty good interpretation of Sonic. I understand they had to make Sonic with different flaws and whatnot, so they can have character development, But enough of that, let's get started right now. Let's go. In the beginning, we see Shadow stuck between dimensions in this shadowy void from the first season. He is still stuck there because of what happened with Sonic, breaking apart different universes. And Shadow is pretty much pissed at Sonic. He is not trying to hear anything from our boy. He is ready to fight first and ask questions later. He does not care what Sonic has to say about this situation. This once again leads Sonic and Shadow into a tussle, fighting each other, hitting each other into different crystals and whatnot. I really like the animation in these scenes. It's really good. It's very fluid, unlike Sonic Boom or Sonic X. I think outside of like all the other Sonic shows, this is like one of the best ones when it comes to the animation department. One thing I did not like about Boom was like the Sith animation. I know Boom was more on comedy, but I like Sonic Prime and Program to have like more action with a sprinkle in with comedy. After tiring each other out, Shadow finally reveals to Sonic what is going on in this massive mess. Apparently due to Sonic destroying the Shadowverses, they created different dimensions and each crystal is in each dimension. Apparently Shadow can't go to any of the other dimensions unlike Sonic, and he doesn't know why. He only have access to one dimension, which is the main dimension that Sonic is from. I'm assuming this is the reason, because Sonic is the catalyst for all of these problems that's happening right now, and due to him being the catalyst, he's the only one that can go to different dimensions. But I know Sega only likes Sonic, and Sonic is like their main star, so he is like the key to everything. P.S. I know Sega like their other characters, but come on now, they give favor to the Sonic. The Sonic is their lord and savior. They do not care about our boy Shadow like that or the other characters. Hopefully they change that. Anyways, Sonic and Shadow go back to the primary dimension, which is Green Hill Zone. But now Green Hill Zone is like this gray out area. It's like very, very gray. Kind of looking like Sand Hill right now. Haha. You get that joke when you play Sonic Forces. Not a good game, but anyways. Sonic is happy to get back to his home, and he starts running around Green Hill. And he bumped into his old friends, Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, and Amy. But something is off about them this time. They're a little bit static, not their typical selves. And Sonic wants to know what is going on. He's happy to see his friends Tails and all his other friends, but like when he tried to talk to them, they just repeat the same thing like they're in a constant limbo, tape recorded loop. And Sonic is like, what is going on? And Shadow says this has something to do with the Shadowverse. When Sonic hears this from Shadow, he becomes distraught and starts looking at his hands. We can see our blue boy very sad and mopey because of this information and news. I feel really bad for Sonic right now. This one leads Shadow to take Sonic to the main point of origin of all of this chaos. Up towards Spiral Mountain, where the main prison was in the first season. I really like the callback, how this season is called back to the second season, and everything is connected together. It's like one big major jigsaw puzzle. Shadow states to Sonic that the reason why all the dimensions broke off because he shattered it. And the dimension they're in is the main dimension, and all the other dimensions that Sonic went through in the first season is all copies of the original dimension, and they warped into their own identities, and that's why we have different like realities. Like one dimension we have a pirate world, the other dimension is a Neotropolis world, the third dimension is a big jungle. So all these other dimensions is based off the original Green Hill dimension. When hearing this information, Sonic comes with the idea that he should talk to Nine so him and Nine and Shadow can fix this issue. But Shadow said no, he is not your Tails. This is a different alternate Tails and he doesn't have the same interests that we have. So this kind of reminds me of like Spider-Man No Way Home, when Spider-Man was trying to stop Doctor Strange from sending all of those villains back home to their ultimate demise. Like Sonic and Spider-Man really give me a lot of parallel vibes. Hearing this made Shadow just realize that Sonic is not going to help the problem at all, just going to make it worse, which he already have. Would make Shadow want to take the situation in his own hands, which leads to Sonic and Shadow to fight once again. Damn, these people are always fighting each other, just like classic SA2. So Sonic and Shadow are fighting each other. Shadow wants to use the tech that Sonic has to travel to different dimensions and make the problems right that he caused. So in the fight, Shadow will try to take all the little bracelets off of Sonic's hands and shoes so he can transfer to different dimensions, leaving Sonic stranded in the main dimension so he couldn't cause any more problems. This leads to Sonic and Shadow fighting each other with a bunch of tussles, kicks, and flips, and a lot of callbacks and like different fighting styles from other Sonic games. We even have a scene of Shadow riding Sonic like a snowboard, which is freaking hilarious. It was like a small scene in the fight, but I find that to be super funny. Eventually, Shadow gains all the pieces to travel to another dimension, leaving Sonic stranded there. Shadow starts running super fast to build up speed to travel to another dimension, faster and faster to gain speed, as Sonic tries to follow him, to the point that both of them left the Green Hill dimension back into the Shadow space void. Sonic was running so fast that he freaking headbutted Shadow into a bunch of crystals, causing a massive collision around them, knocking out Shadow. Shadow was so knocked out that he almost fell back into the void. The void is this area where nobody knows what happened when you fall deep into. It's a place of no return. So Sonic had to save Shadow from the void before he falls too deep to get back up. This is the same void that Shadow lost when the Chaos Emeralds, and funny enough, so no wonder he can't do Chaos Control anymore. I want to know that Plot Point come back up again, because like, there's 7 Chaos Emeralds, and I know they're not gonna leave 1 Chaos Emerald missing, so we can only have 6. So probably the void leads somewhere else, and we'll find out more about what happened with the void later throughout the series. After Sonic saves Shadow, they have a little bit of R&R and talk things out to see what's the next course of action, because they realize that they need to work together to fix this situation. Apparently Shadow can't go to any of the other dimensions, only Sonic for some reason, even though he has the devices. So Sonic and Shadow have to work together to fix all the dimensions and make them whole once again. Just as Sonic and Shadow formulating a plan what to do next, they see a giant big spaceship coming out of New York City dimension. They were heading towards the green shadow space to attain the Shadow Crystal. Sonic knew this was no good because this spaceship contained all the Eggmen from the Imperial City. This brings Sonic into action, following them in the green shadow dimension, which leaves us with Sonic and Shadow joining forces as they try to stop the different Eggmen from taking all the Shadow Crystals while they try to fix this constant problem at hand. Overall, I really liked the first episode of Season 2 of Sonic Prime. I can't wait to see the next episodes of Season 2 when it comes out later in July. This premiere episode was really good. If you want more Sonic content, follow What's the Draw, like, share, and comment, subscribe for more news, gaming, and videos. And be sure to check back for our full review of Sonic Prime Season 2. See you around. Goodbye.